Hey! It's been a few days since that blast of a video that YouTube of us on number 3 consciousness exploration. We've seen this Biden guy get inaugurated. I'm still not buying the whole 46th president of the United States thing. I think it's 45B. I think the presidency was invalidated with Trump. I think America's kind of got to redo something. It can't keep doing what it's been doing. It's just not real anymore, you know. This is basically just a quickie here. I'm hoping to keep it under 7 or 8 minutes. The idea for me is to follow up for any of you that are looking and wondering. I've talked to a few people, and I know a couple of folks are concerned. There's an exploration that goes on with this plurality, and it's not easy, right? Like, I didn't become fractured and fragmented because everything was peaches and cream. There's some tough, very, very bleak patches of awareness that I want to say I'm open to them, you know, like it's difficult when you know that you're fucked up and you know that things are twisted and ugly, and you know, for the most part our instinct is to hide that stuff, right? To say, oh, like, you know, let's keep that on the down low and nobody has to know about that. But what I'm doing here is different. What I'm doing here is looking at this as a style of consciousness, or an awareness of being that informs me to grow. It informs me to expand and look beyond what would be considered a compact, conforming kind of life, right? I think the problem that we're having, or a lot of them, stems from not being authentic. We're trying to portray ourselves as these nice, tidy little beings with all of these pretty elements, these attributes, right? And let's focus on the positive, and let's be good people for one another. I agree with a lot of that stuff. Like, I see the merits of putting your best foot forward, keeping a kind of a positive attitude with people around you. I'll tell you that for about a day after that, patience was, you know, kind of on fire with a lot of stuff, because there's this dysfunction that she has to deal with, and she's navigating it, you know, with limited resources sometimes, and we're all here for her, and we're all kind of looking at her and going, you know what, you're great. You're fucked up. You've got a lot of anger. You've got a lot of hardship that you've taken on yourself, maybe not in the smartest ways. And those flat spots, that kind of bleakness, that difficulty, she's not, you know, sailing through it. It isn't kind of like a day at the beach. She does have I want to say fear in one way, because I think when you've been that directed or that aggressive towards figuring something out and working something differently in your life, the fear is, have I put all this energy, have I made myself this hard and this kind of sharp in a way that's coming back and cutting me, right? Have I wasted my energy, or have I fucked up my life so much that I can't somehow smooth this out eventually, or settle into something a little different? And so she gets aggressive, she gets fed up, you know, just overwhelmed. And the interesting thing is, I'll say this because, you know, for some of you, most of you watching, you know, there's this old history of us being bipolar. And bipolar, I don't think necessarily for everyone is the same. But in our case, we definitely have Spider, who is the sensitive, sort of abandoned, crushed being at times, who just feels like I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm alone, you know, and that kind of horrible depletedness, right? Like he can drop into this pit of despair very easily. And so that's obviously our depressive side. And we've seen that, we've parked that on him, because we now realize, no, it's not just a mood swinging one way or another. It's one little guy who feels this very intense kind of loneliness at times. And to say that, okay, Spider, you're a great guy, you know, let's eat some ice cream. He loves to eat. There's a way to kind of work that and massage that loose in him now. And what happened with patients kind of going over the top and being really aggressive and, you know, like rattling everybody, was that he sort of swung into play a little bit, going, oh, now nobody's gonna like us, you know, now we're kind of like tainted or unlovable. And it's kind of like there was an adding of her remorse for being as out of control, or like, I don't want to say out of control, because she's not really. She's in control, but she's stepping out of the bounds of normal behavior. Like when you can say to somebody, hey, I'm open-handedly psychotic. That's kind of stepping away from normal patterns, right? So I just wanted to swing in with you guys and say, Spider's taken a spin of despair. Patients kind of looked at it and said, yeah, that was pretty harsh. Like she feels things 5 times more in certain configurations, in certain downswings, or times when she feels pressured or overwhelmed, she kind of like goes into that anger response. And I think it's hard, right? Like it's not nice to be around that, but it's understandable. I can look at it and go, I know where she's coming from. I know the hardship that she's feeling is kind of pressed up against her right now, and I know that she's maybe lashing out or being kind of aggressive as a technique to keep herself on balance. Remember I said that she's struggled and struggled for balance for so long. So I wanted to swing back with you guys, let you know it's going okay. We're not, you know, rigging up explosives or sharpening knives. It's one thing. I think it's interesting to be multifaceted like this, and to have that aggressor or that kind of like sharp, really kind of like vicious response person, and then have these other people that are like, okay, you're a fucking maniac now, like in the bipolar world, Spider's the depressive, Patience is the maniac, right? And what I'll say to you about that, that I think is really fascinating, is this slow moving, weird kind of like, why am I up, why am I down at times over the years, adjusting it out to assigning it to people and saying, okay, Spider's taking us on a big depressive loop right now, or Patience is getting aggressive and we're you know, stringing out into this fucking weird stuff. It's beneficial. It's really a nice way to see what kind of energy, what kind of persona is behind those impulses or those stretches into higher or lower moods, you know. So I don't want to go too long here. I just wanted to say we're doing better. As far as like all of you being assholes, we are one of you. We are just another asshole the same as you are. We don't have you know, some privilege or some special keys to being better people. I think it's just that what we are, maybe that's a little different than the average bear, is we're aware of our dimensions. We have this sense of a broad, very sort of open connection to things. And so we're not trying to present you with one clean, nice guy persona that just kind of like does this happy dance and everybody loves this guy. And, you know, I mean, we were doing that for years. But that's kind of in the past at this point. We still have access to that guy. We still like that guy. We still understand that that's a gentler way of mixing with most people. It's just not all of what we're doing. It's just not where we're putting all our eggs in that basket. We're broader, wider, looking at our anger, looking at our despair, looking at our elation and our wonder and our excitement at being kind of out in the universe. There's a little dip where, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, I think it was yesterday, we were looking at this and saying, you know, if we'd have gotten more training or more refinement somehow to deal with certain factors, you know, would we be softer? Would we be more manageable at these sort of times? Would there be like less of this outburst type of energy happening? What I like about Patience is, you know, she didn't go into buckets and buckets of Zen Buddhism or higher consciousness thinking necessarily to ascend, right? She kind of just stepped out, looked at the multiverse, got a hold of it by the balls, and said, hey, I'd like to change the fucking game. And it's like mind-boggling to see that she's kind of made herself that sharp and that dedicated to something. And I you know, it's like you stand back and you go, what the fuck is she on? And what she's on is abandonment. She's on, I'm alone, right? I'm either completely fucked here and I don't have any support, or I don't have anything really going for me, or I can marshal myself into a position where I'm completely supported and part of everything. And so she goes from being kind of depleted and nothing to everything, because she just needs to take that step. It's like she's so empty that there's nothing that can fill her unless she's everything, if that makes sense to you guys. So I appreciate that she has that verve, that kind of spark for life still, that she can feel so closed and crushed in certain ways, but then just open and grasping and holding. So she's doing all right. We're fine. And thanks for watching. I know it isn't easy sometimes. I know we're kind of a fucking mess in certain areas of our lives, and we are getting there. We have made a couple of big changes with the way we're looking at things here in the last few days. So I'm looking forward to 2021, and we'll keep doing this stuff. We'll keep opening ourselves to where we're at with you guys, and if you're freaked out about it at times, so are we. Love you guys.